Hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. Okay, George, you did well. You stuck with it. It's a strange game. I found a thematic checkmating pattern at the end. I'm going to decide to end the new games there, and I will review this game. This was, I believe, my opponent was a strong chess player, and we played, I guess, just these two games against each other. Let's see how accurate the game was. Not all that accurate. But like I said, I mean, look at this long portion of black just waiting to burst through. He's up in the computer's eyes by almost a rook. Each year they are up in the computer's eyes by almost a rook. And so let's review. King's Gambit. Difficult opening, difficult to play accurately. I dropped this bishop early on. So this is early on and is a mistake I might likely make in the future if I don't review right now. Bishop c4 is not a great move, and my opponent played against it here, just picking up the bishop on c4. So how can we improve on that? This is white's fourth move, and I'm going to consult the computer. Says knight c3 is a good move, and d4. d4 is a very more gravity move, right? Push the pawn to d4 and have some kind of classical pawn duo. That's a total gravity, a total more gravity move. So we're going to use this instead, most likely. Instead I played bishop c4, which isn't catastrophic yet, but soon comes to be so, because when you castle kingside afterwards, black's queen can check on the green squares, and after white moves, capture on the white squares vertically. Just pretty much down a bishop. White has some positives to his position, especially with the with how intense the attack against f7 might become. That's why you see, though I'm down a bishop with a 3-point piece, black is seen as better by 1.9. So white has some compensation for that bishop. Not enough, right? But that's the way I read this 1.9, negative 1.9 indication on the progress bar. G5 was provocative. You know, you want to play a move like bishop e5 in response, and the rook moves to h7. This might have been the move. Just, directly, and then just throw away this knight, but as a sacrifice. H takes g5, and can maybe white get something going with queen f3? It's not quite there because the black queen is covering f7, so that f7 is covered twice. But you want to look at a move like bishop e5 in a move in this position. And Torch agrees it's not one of the top moves. But I'll play bishop takes g5, and this is a sacrifice of sorts. I would classify this as kind of a sacrifice, kind of like the Mikhail Tal said, there's no such thing as a sound sacrifice. And that's kind of how I feel about bishop takes g5. I'm already in the hole to the tune of a full bishop. So bishop takes g5 clears as it plays, and then there will be a lot of pressure against f7 ultimately. Let's see how black defends. Knight takes g5, and like I said, Who would have thought? F6. One of the things, some of the things I recall about this, F6. Out of all this mayhem, there's no good check on H5. That there's no good check on maybe B3 or move toward not quite yet check on B3 or anything. F7 induce more air around Black's king. I wouldn't have thought it. You'll see this move is brilliant. The knight on G8. I implore you, watch this knight on G8. He sits there for the better part of the game. He's sitting there, not being developed. He should be. We would think normally he's out attacking, he's defending. He sits right there on the G8 starting square, doing what? Protecting F6 over and over and over again. That's one of the strange things about this game. Very wild game, that the knight would just sit there on G8 like that. That's part of the beauty of chess. And we play queen to F3, and Black's right there with us. Look, two defenders. The knight still sitting at G8. King moves out of the way of a check. Queen to E5, threatening mate on H2. I bring back my force from G5, as now it can be captured by the queen. Notice, prior to that, the pawn on F6 would not capture on G5 because of the immediate queen takes F8 checkmate. But now that the queen is in town, threatening both mate and the knight, things are different. So the knight moves to H3, where it's actually quite adequately defended, helping with my king's safety, which was bad and now is passable, barely passable, but passable. I don't know what this arrow means, so I'm gonna erase it. So that's that move. And then there's this crazy game going on. Look at all these pieces on the back rank. And the queen, and just the queen on E5. So, in order to, I'm down a rook now in material. Probably, technically, not exactly sure. But I'm down the equivalent of a rook. A rook is worth 5 points. We know that. And I was thinking around this point of the game, if I'm going to have anything to say about making up for being down so much material, it's going to be through lead and development. Some of these moves are good moves. Knight to F4 is a strong move here by white. Strong pointing D5, and D5 is protecting F4. It also blocks the queen's attack on H2, which is absolutely vital right now. So I had to make this move knowing that this danger existed, and not to be careless about its medium to long-term nature. Knight to C6. Okay, so black is catching up in development. I addressed this, the danger of queen takes H2 checkmate immediately, or almost immediately, with the move pawn to H3. Now it's just not all that easy for black to break through right away. It is possible you would, as black, let's do this. You would, as black, and black's turn to move here, you would look for sacrifices. This is a very good position for black to look for sacrifices. The white king is up against the ropes, as they say in boxing. There's sacrifices like bishop takes H3 to be considered. For all of these sacrifices, though, for the moment, white can cover them adequately. This H3 is protected 3 times over. But if black can somehow mix an attack and in one way or another get the knight on F4 away, then there's thematic attacks based on queen to H2 checkmate. Okay, we go back towards my view, and Look, I was talking about the knight. The knight's still sitting there. He's needed at every turn uh, at every turn and acceleration move or anything like that. He's he's exploring any nook and cranny. This knight is needed at all costs, and for the sole job of protecting f6. I mean, black is diverting his rook to help out with the job. That's how strong white's attack is. It's going very almost directly at black's king, and so then knight is still chilling right there on g8. Queen goes back. All these moves are fine or excellent. These moves are all excellent or computer best moves. There's the knight. Move 19. He's sitting there. Got my eye on you, f6. Queen to b3. There's all kinds of the tactics that were successfully defended against by both white and black in this game boggle the mind. That this game didn't just like blow up somewhere near move 14 is, to me, amazing. Okay, so bishop c6. White plays back to f4. The threat, there's a good threat here. Knight to e6 check would destroy black's chances at castling. And with many of the responses to knight to e6 check will allow white to pick up bishop on f8. Not the knight, he's still chilling, but the bishop on f8 could be captured in some variations. To be honest, oh wait, no, I said to destroy the king's chance to castle. No, that's not true. He's on the d file, so this arrow needs to go away. Good. All right, the king's on the d file. He doesn't want to step. He doesn't want to. I think black plays here to try to stop white from certain tactics on that part of the board. It's a weird move. King c8. I thought it weird at the time. It doesn't help black all that much. You see a move you make a move that looks unnatural like that. Partly looks unnatural because we're thinking visually. Our eyes have this that's going to be a castle. All right, he's got a castle here, and so king to c8. Part of it is, how come he didn't castle? And we just explained that, but our eyes might not know as much as the chess of the fact that the king has already moved. That's as best as I can explain that. But so that's part of it, and then the other part of it, it's just a bad move. I had this attack at knight e6, and I think king c8 is a little bit too afraid of what could happen. But the other part of the attack was queen takes g8, and now all of a sudden there's a better chance for white. We captured a full piece, so of course. And now I feel like black is on the defense. Knight to e6 seems pretty strong to me. I might have missed an opportunity. Torch will have a good ear on this. Torch wants knight to g6. Yeah. Part of my idea of knight to g6 leads to, or could lead to, I mean, the exchange sacrifice here makes sense for black. Rook takes g6, queen takes g6, and it's level material. But even I don't want that. I mean, that just seems to deflate all the air from the balloon. Not only that, but then black has uh, bishop takes e4 and the queen to back that attack up. So I just knight to g6 might be the best move, but it's also the best move, and I don't like it in this particular position. Go for the gusto, I said, with knight to e6. There's this threat of two pieces against black's bishop, and of course the queen can't capture because then it's because our queen, the white queen, is ready to capture and return, and with check and all kinds of fanfare and hoopla and brouhaha. d5 is a blunder. Yes, I'd say quite that the bishop on f8 is gone now. By the way, we could do a better job of this. I said queen takes g8, and I didn't give him much attention. That's the knight. He's been sitting there. You know, if things were going well for black, while the knight was trained on f6, they think it was a good thing. You know, material lead of 5 points and all this and that. Then all of a sudden, that knight's gone, and his whole position collapsed. I mean, the knight's gone. Not many moves later, and there's a bishop gone for nothing in exchange for it. We're giving checks on the h3 c8 diagonal. He's going into this hole here, and wouldn't you know it, soon enough, white finds a key move, pawn to c4. When the bishop captures, we're going to, let's see, we'll play it out to, yeah, so this is where my opponent resigned, and then we'll play it out after that. This is a checkmate. It's pretty much a must-know checkmate. And one thing you might do in the heat of the moment is look for, can I get a rook or a queen or something, but that wasn't quite working for white here. What is working is knight b6 check. All the pawns in the world can't capture the knight while the king was just recently in check. And then we play through to queen c8. This is a queen sacrifice. No, you know what? That doesn't work. That doesn't quite work. The queen will capture that knight. So backing up a bit, I thought there might have been one of those nice smothered mates hidden in there. What white does have is the same move again, but then either picking up the exchange on a8 or a free piece on c4. We could repeat the position, but that's silly. We haven't come this far to do that. I mean, usually you're going to pick up the extra piece. Yeah, so the bishop, so black has lost his bishop. Okay, so now we have that material lead that sometimes allows us to almost bully our opponent's pieces. Not in a bad way or a wrong way. Maybe bully isn't the right word. The pawn on f6 is quite loose. This is an undefended pawn. So that's one idea to move forward. Another idea I like is something like queen to f7, threatening rook to e8, and picking up a lot of material towards the center of black's side of the board. So we would look at that move thoroughly, or if we're really confident about things, queen to e8 immediately, forcing the trade of queens. Because queen to f7, can black kind of scurry away? No, doesn't look like it. So we'll play queen to f7 is the best move here. And it's not going to net us this queen, but black has made a concession along the way. That white can either double along the 7th rank or capture a pawn on a5. It's all over. I think I like rook e7 here. Oops. Okay, fantastic. The chessboard and beyond. Fun. That was fun. That was great fun for me. My knight, my knight's like, Black's G8 knight isn't the only one that can just hang on back. Black's Black's G8 knight isn't the only knight that can just hang there on Black's back rank for many moves. I'll try it too. There he is. He's still bouncing around. This knight is. When you queen a pawn, it's usually considered a success if queening the pawn rids your opponent of a piece. Even if you had the queen just for that one move, but your opponent, from your opponent's point of view, he or they had to sacrifice a piece against it. So that's usually considered a success for the side promoting the pawn. It all depends on the position, like so many things. But I was, took away Black's rook. What was for just a moment a queen, but 3 moments ago a mere pawn. So hey, not too shabby overall. All right. All right. That's all for tonight, folks. My hair's a little weird. Kind of not the greatest hair day, kind of medium hair day. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Gravitrons. I'm More Gravity. Have a great night.